Hey there, YouTube. This video is in response to a request from Catherine, aka Hypatia Tarot on YouTube, aka my Tarot BFF. She thought that I should show y'all a little bit about how I do a few different kinds of deck interviews. So I thought a lot about how to do this. I was going to do it on my computer and just show you pictures of the spreads and then maybe my spreadsheet, but I had some technical challenges with that and then decided just to do it with real spreads. So pardon if the camera shakes at all. The only way I can really do this from above kind of view is holding my tripod. But these are real interview spreads. I went ahead and did the spreads before filming because that was most comfortable for me, but I'm going to talk you through the positions and a little bit about how I use 3 different interviews. So the first I'm going to show you is when I get a new deck. This is my deck interview spread. I used to do 2 and from different sources, and then I ended up coming up with my own. So some of these positions are borrowed. I think the 2 that I started out with was one from Little Red Tarot that Beth did not create, but she's not sure the source. And then I believe one from Lindsay Mack, and I kind of took those 2. I don't know, like 1 or 2 of the questions may not have been altered, but a lot of the questions and the positions and things have been altered. So it's more or less my own for when I get a new deck. And just a note about doing the new deck spread, keep in mind, I think a lot of times if you get a new deck, it's in order, you shuffle it, and then if you put down the spread and you get cards that are in order, then you feel like, oh, I messed up, I should call a mulligan, I should do it over again. I have another video, which I'll try to remember to link, that's called There's No Such Thing as a Bad Shuffle. I really believe that even if there is some scientific reason that 2 cards might be next to each other, that it's not a bad shuffle, that you should go with it, that those cards showed up because they were supposed to be that way. But if this is something that really bothers you, or it, feels like a stumbling block to trusting your intuition, another thing you can do, and the way I pull cards these days myself is you can shuffle in between each card. So that's how I did this. This deck that you're seeing here is the normal tarot. It is very different. So it is not standard tarot, so don't worry if you have no idea what the hell is going on with these specific cards. This is more about the spread and the positions than it is the cards. And I'm going to go through how I interpret them, but I'm going to use the book, and it's not standard tarot at all. So just be aware of that. I start with the center position. So the center position is what is important for me to know about you. And so this could be a particular characteristic of the deck or just something that I should know about it. Here I got the 8th of Autumn reversed, and I looked at the book, and that is hard work paying off. So I'm not totally sure what that might mean here, but I'm thinking could be something about this is a deck to use a lot. This is a deck to... this might be a deck that's challenging to understand, which would bear out with this first card, but keep going, keep trying. Then I actually jump up above the first card and I lay down 2 cards on the top. And these are what kinds of readings do you like to do and what kinds of readings do you not like to do. So here I got like to do Autumn Night 3. Take the bastard with you is the keyword, and then Autumn Night 1, fight dirty, press every advantage. So I thought about these 2 cards and metaphorically what could they mean, and I thought about the reverse take the bastard with you versus fight dirty, press every advantage. It feels like the second card is much more confident, whereas the first one is just everything's going to shit, I'm going to take the bastard with me. So I'm interpreting this as that this deck likes to do readings where things are actually out of sorts. There's a lot of conflict. You might be at your last resort when you're in a really fuck it all place, which I'll talk about my spreadsheet in a second. I have a column for that. This is a good deck. It is not a deck to come to when you're already feeling confident and ready to go. So then I lay down the cards to either side of the first card. And the reason that the layout is like this is because they're kind of backwards to what the first two cards are. So I didn't want them like right next to each other because, of course, on top we have like to do, not like to do, so positive on the left. I always do release on the left, receive on the right. So it would feel kind of backwards to me if they were like just parallel to each other. So that's sort of how the shape of the spread came to be. So on the right, I have a position for what am I ready to release with this partnership, and on the right, what am I ready to embrace or step into with this partnership, to either side of the what's important to know about you card. So releasing the lantern and the well. So this is temptation, allure in the dark, capacity for evil. And then embracing the 4th of spring, we have free space, a normal day. And I thought that was interesting. So it almost feels like releasing temptation, but also maybe releasing, when I think about my own life and what might be relevant right now, releasing being all conflicted and freaking out about things, embracing space, embracing a break. And then below that, I have two cards that are kind of meta. So the first one on the left is how can I best learn and collaborate with you? And the one on the right is, sorry, I'm blanking on the wording I use. How can I best learn and collaborate with you? And then how do you offer and deliver wisdom? So one is how can I approach you? And then the second one is how are you going to talk back to me? So I got the 8th of spring. And the 8th of spring is getting in the zone, zen of craft. So you can see kind of some craft symbols there. So that just feels like it's an everyday deck. Come to it ready to work. That kind of goes with the center card being about kind of hard work paying off. So it's like, it definitely feels like a use regularly kind of deck. And then the Winter Queen is, where's the Winter Queen? The Winter Queen is overwhelming force. So it feels like it's going to be a knock you on your ass deck. It doesn't pull punches. That doesn't surprise me, given the theme of the deck and the energy. And then finally, I do a card, and I'm not sure the kind of official wording when I post this on Instagram, but it's something kind of like, you know, what would you like to dig in on together first? What kinds of questions, what kind of readings do you want to work together on first? And so we've got the 2nd of autumn reversed, and that is a gathering found family. So that was kind of interesting and a little bit surprising, like going with the rest, but I'm building a chosen family right now, and there is some like conflict, confusion stuff going on around that. And so when I thought about it more, it kind of did make sense. So that is what I got for what to work on. If it were a more traditional tarot deck, I would probably read this. I would do more things like think about the suits, think about what's reversed and what's not, what's missing. Since this one is so different, I'm not doing that as much. But what I would then do is write up in my spreadsheet, and I'll try to remember to link. There's a video that does show my an update of what my tarot spreadsheet looks like, and one of the things in there is that I write up the interpretation in full, and then I write up just a little column on when to use. And so for that one, I really focus on these cards at the top, so the readings it likes and doesn't like. And I also focus on what it wants to work on next. Sometimes also these two cards will be relevant, like if it says to come to it in a specific mood or a specific, if it feels like it's how I best learn and collaborate with you, that left position. If it feels like the message is you only work with this deck in a particular space or a particular mood, then I will take that into account as well. I'll write that up, and then I have another tab that I call my simple deck guidance, where I have columns that I just check off if it's a good deck for a few specific things. I think it's introspection, shadow, practical, unfocused. And then the funny one is fuck in all capitals. So that was what I said earlier. You know, given these top two, the way it seems to be saying, like, come to it when everything is fucked up, I will probably check off that box for this deck. And then I write, kind of copy paste the notes from when to use next to that, so that I can easily filter by the types of readings. So if I'm feeling like fuck, then like these are the 12 decks that are best for that, and then I can like glance at the notes to see the specifics. So that's how I interview a deck when I first get it. Now I'm going to move over here to another spread, and hopefully I can see my computer from here because I don't have these positions memorized as well. But this is a check-in spread. So I try to do this approximately every year, and I'm way off right now. So this is probably, I got a year and a half ago, but this is the Many Queens deck. And here I'm coming back just to do a check-in, to see how the deck feels about how I'm using it. I realize this is kind of anthropomorphizing. Like, the way I think about decks is that they have their own energies and their own opinions. This may not be true of you. I think all of my interview spreads kind of reflect that a little bit. But this one, again, I think it incorporates things I believe that other people have done, although I honestly can't remember. But the overall spread is my own. And we start with a question. Wow, it really is hard to read from here. Start with the question, how are you feeling in general about how I'm using you as a deck? So we start at the top left. How are you feeling in general about how I'm using you as a deck? So I'm taking this Ace of Pentacles to say, like, generally good, but there are some opportunities here to use this deck that maybe I haven't been seizing, so to look out for those. Then we keep going to the right. What lesson do you wish I would listen to? So this is a chance for the deck to say, hey, you're like not getting what I'm telling you. And here we have 4 of Pentacles. So I think there's definitely something here around resourcing. Interesting that the 2 Pentacles next to each other. Something around how I balance my resources, how I use my time and energy and keep that close to the chest or not, is something I should listen to. Then you have, what do you think that I should be clearing in the next year or so? So until we do the next check-in, what should I be clearing, focusing on, releasing? Here I got 8 of Cups reversed. This speaks a lot to me in terms of I am getting this all the time, something to release. I am not really clear what it means yet, but it was definitely a like, yep, got it. You and every other deck think I should be releasing this, and I haven't quite figured it out what it's referring to yet. So that's a little personal. Then we have, so we go from what should I be releasing to what sort of readings would you like to do less of? So this top row is kind of the release and clear. Fewer readings around High Priestess reverse. And I'm actually going to read this in this case along with the next position. So we go from left to right, and then we go down and start to go from right to left. So the next position is what readings would you like to do more of? And so interestingly, we've got less High Priestess reversed, more King of Wands reversed. So the way I'm interpreting this is fewer readings where I am not trusting my intuition and or I'm feeling blocked around my intuition, more readings where I need some support or maybe need help with the next step around more practical things or more like creative things, projects, blazing my own trail. I always think of King of Wands as a trailblazer. So it feels like if you're spiritually not feeling confident, maybe this isn't the deck, but if you need some support on the practical projects, etc., come to this deck. So you can see how this layout, it's going to reflect itself as we go around. So here we have the readings themselves. Then we have what do you think that I should be inviting in the next year? So we had clearing, now we have inviting in. Inviting in is 6 of Wands reversed. To me, I've been working with this card a lot lately as well. So it's interesting that there's 2 cards that have been coming up a lot for me. And the 6 has been coming up around my own shadows, around my work, around needing external validation. So I am feeling this, what this is saying is not necessarily that I need more of that energy of Six of Wands reversed, but more that I need to do the work around that. And possibly let go of the work around something that I needed to release that is now gone, and I need to like stop thinking about it, is my guess about how these two relate. But I need to think on that a little more. Then as we go to the left on that bottom row, we have, is there something, oh, I have to, sorry, lean in to see this. Is there something in my life that you particularly like to dig in on together in the next year? So this kind of reflects from the first spread. You can see that there's a lot of like reflection between the spreads. And here, this is again asking, we asked when we first got the deck what I wanted to work on next. And so now we're just asking again, what do you want to focus on? The sun. I honestly have no idea what this is referring to right now. I don't know what a reading around the sun, a reading around like awareness would, or things coming to light would necessarily mean. So I do have to kind of think about that. I'm not sure. But there's a little bit of reflection again between, again, card 2, what do you wish I would listen to, and then what do you want to dig in on? And then finally, we come kind of back to the beginning with the last card. What kind of attitude around a question can I come to you with that is most comfortable for you? So we first asked how the deck was feeling about how we were using it, and now again we're asking a little bit of meta, the attitude that's most comfortable. And here we have King of Cups reversed. So I'm feeling this is actually a little bit hard, but I think something around come to this deck when you maybe are even feeling a little guilty about how you're giving and receiving, how you were supporting people in your life, that it'll be here for you. Again, these interpretations I just did pull these cards, so I might evolve a little bit as we go, but that's what I have. The last thing I want to tell you about is actually an exit interview spread. So I'm going to put this down for just a second here. Hopefully my tripod will behave itself. Well, you can look at my balcony for a moment while I get ready to show you this last spread, because of course, as I was recording this, my computer went to sleep and I can't see the positions. Okay, so this is a much simpler spread because when I get to the point where I think I'm ready to let go of a deck, honestly, at that point, you know, I'm kind of done with it. So I just want to ask a few last questions of it. And I'm going to use, in this case, I don't have one that I'm about to release, so I'm just going to use card backs to show you this, what the positions are. Rather than a specific thing. So what I would do in this case is I would ask 2, sometimes 3 questions. So the first question is just, how do you feel about me letting you go? So this is one last chance for the deck to speak to how it's feeling about me, about a relationship. How do you feel about me letting you go? If that first card, if it feels hesitant, uncertain, if it feels like the deck is trying to tell me, no, it does not want to be let go, then I will ask position 2, which is there any work that you feel that we have left to do? So if it feels like the deck is not sure, doesn't want to be let go, then I'll ask, okay, well, what work do you feel like we haven't done yet that we need to do together? And sometimes that answer, those 2 answers together, I'll say, okay, I'm going to hold on to this deck and I'm going to try to do specific readings around that work and see if it changes how I feel about the deck. Or sometimes it might just be that I do that work and then we're done with the deck. If I did that, I would do this spread again once I was ready again to let go of it. And then finally, last one, is just what message would you like to leave me with? And sometimes the deck is ready to release, but it has a final message that it just wants to leave me with. So that's the spread I use. Sometimes this position will also, when I ask how it's feeling, sometimes it'll give me an idea of how it wants to be let go, like whether it wants to be gifted, sold, etc. Sometimes it'll just be like, fuck off, I'm done with you. So, you know, I just let the deck speak to me, and that is the exit interview. So those are my 3 spreads. I think at least 2 of them are on my Instagram, and I'll try to remember to link them so you can see them in a better format, but that is the basic idea. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this kind of thing.